G'day everyone, jaimunji here, and I'm joined today by...
I'm Allie.
And we're here because the biggest news happened this morning. Mudvayne and Coal Chamber are coming to Australian shores in February 2024. It's unreal. Mudvayne haven't been here since 2006, which was Big Day Out, and Coal Chamber, I don't believe, have been here since 2012. That's over 10 years for both bands.
2006 is the year I graduated high school.
I was still in high school. I was still in high school for a year. That is crazy to think about. Wow. Wow. And
Existential crisis.
Yeah. And speaking of the age, I think that's appropriate because today we're going to be ranking new metal bands on a tier list of S tier being the best, D tier being, for lack of a better word, a bit shit.
Are we going to do an F tier?
I think people know that if you're sitting in the D tier, it's not good. No, we're not going to have that. All right, so let's get straight to it. All right, guys, we're going to do this in order on how we see it on screen here. I haven't had a big look at this. This is just one I found on tiermaker.com. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay, right out the bat, KoRn. KoRn themselves don't like to say they're new metal, and fair enough. KoRn sound like KoRn. They kind of just inspired the whole genre. So yes, fair enough that KoRn don't want to be called new metal because they are so unique, but they pioneered it. So this is an easy one. We don't need to waste a lot of time. KoRn is just S tier.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. Given that Jonathan Davis did have a guest point in the most new metal movie of all time, being Queen of the Damned. Don't come at me. It is still one of my favorite movies. I watched it back to back for so long.
And it was filmed in Australia, if you didn't know that. So some good old Aussie filmmaking there. Well, let's move on. We've got a lot here, and we're probably going to fight and butt heads on some of these, so we better get along to it. KoRn, easy S tier. She's going to knock me out. Soulfly. This is interesting. This is a band I wouldn't have necessarily said was new metal, but when I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, you jump the fuck up, songs like this definitely have a new metal vibe.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They're not one that I know that much about because I didn't come into any heavier type of genre until I was like 16, 17. I went to a private school. We didn't really have a lot of the variety of things.
Yeah. And
I'm still playing catch up.
Trust me, Soulfly wasn't on everyone's radar. You know, Max from Sepultura, huge personality, fantastic vocalist. Soulfly are a good band, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I didn't even think they'd necessarily be new metal. And when I say this, we're ranking these bands off they've been new metal, how long their legacy has been. Now, they can't just have one good album and dip. So we're going to have to kind of base them off their whole catalogue. Don't get me wrong, KoRn have some trash albums, but KoRn have more good albums, and the good albums definitely outweigh the bad albums. So
agreed.
I think with Soulfly, we might change this later, but a steady B feels correct.
I'd say B's a maximum.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably even chuck him in a C.
You chuck him in a C?
I'd chuck him in a C. Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm happy to leave it as B.
No.
Because I will defer.
We will put it in C, but maybe once we start lining up some of these other bands, you're going to change your mind. So let's go C. I think B. Let's go C. I reckon it's going to change by the time we get to the end.
And I just instantly need to do this. You can come at me later. I knew this would get him.
I don't dislike Disturbed at all. Don't get me wrong. Went through my Disturbed phase. I think maybe once a year I go through a solid week of listening to Disturbed just to hit that nostalgia kick. There's nothing wrong with Disturbed.
Look, I think I'm getting it a lot at the moment because I'm getting so many reels on my Instagram of David Dramian just doing like really sweet, adorable things with the crowd, and it's getting me in the feels.
Look, and Down with the Sickness, the game, the first album just hits. In fact, the few of the first album, they are more falling in the category of hard rock on the last three.
Absolutely, particularly in their more recent stuff that they're doing. They've completely fallen out of being new metal, but for me it's all high school nostalgia. Particularly after I lived in Darwin, we went to a movie marathon, Dawn of the Dead played, and it had that, and then here's a great fact about how dumb I was as a 16-year-old. At the end of Dawn of the Dead, they have the Richard Cheese version of Down with the Sickness. I thought Disturbed was a cover. I didn't know who Richard Cheese was.
You know what? For that story alone, I'm going to leave it at A, okay?
Thank you.
It's hard to argue. They're one of the biggest bands in the world. They play stadiums. Fair
They
enough.
were also on Queen of the Damned.
I think you're going to find almost every band on here was on Queen of the Damned. Trust me as we get through it. Except this next band, Drowning Pool. Now, I forgot about Drowning Pool. Drowning Pool I loved in my high school years. The first album, Sinner, is just perfection. The second album wasn't bad either. Step Up is an incredible song, but from there, the constant lead singer changes. Don't get me wrong. The guy who filled in after the second singer, the lead singer of Soil,
Right.
he did a fantastic job. In fact, he's just rejoined the band. After all these years, they've gone through another singer and he's come back. It's probably good. He suited the band, but still, it's hard to keep changing your vocalist and still have that punch. And I don't feel the punch is there. I think I was nearly going to say they belong in C, but Sinner is such a terrific album and a stamp on early 2000s metal that they have to sit in B tier.
Yeah, you know what? I'd agree. Just from the nights that I spent at Blink nightclub in Sydney, anyone who was in Sydney in the early 2000s would remember Blink fondly and unfondly based on how sticky the floors were downstairs, but always hearing Bodies every single time, and it was always an absolute banger.
Yeah, so I think B's fine. You could have gone with C due to some later stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. I have all the faith in the world that the next album's going to be great since they've got old mate from Soil back as lead vocalist. But let's move on to another reason why we're doing this tier list today. Coal Chamber. Coal Chamber, Des from Devil Driver's original band. I'm sure most people know that, but for the one or two that didn't know, it's like, oh, what? Des was in another band before Devil Driver? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it doesn't click. He looks so different in the original Coal Chamber video as to what he does in Devil Driver. I am going to be very biased here, and maybe they're not up at KoRn level.
I wouldn't put them as an S. I would happily put them as an A, though.
I definitely think they're an A.
They're another one that gets you on, particularly for us millennials, definitely gets you in the nostalgia feels. Takes you back to what it was in high school, listening to that kind of thing. First moving out of home for me at 18 and hanging out with my friends, and this was something that was always playing on someone's soundtrack that they burned onto a CD and were playing it in their car.
And you can't turn on Rage during the 2000s without hearing Loco. Yep. So it has to go there. Fantastic band. Cannot wait to see them live in February. It's going to be awesome. So Coal Chamber, regardless if they were coming down or not, is definitely an A in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to a band that I actually quite enjoy and have seen live. Il Nino. Il Nino definitely moved away from the nu metal sound, like most of these bands did, because nu metal kind of died and it was kind of a curse to be nu metal, but people like it now, so it's not a bad thing anymore. But in saying that, you know, How Could I Live, Liar, I Am Loco, great songs. They do lend themselves to a greatest hits kind of feel.
Yes, absolutely, I would agree. They could do a greatest hits tour, and I would go to that.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely go to it again. They were fantastic live. Really nice guys. Got to hang out with a couple of them at the show. But I think Il Nino, if Soulfly's a C, Il Nino has to go into the C category as well. So
yeah, I could only tell you one song from them, so I'd agree it being C. But you know, How Can I Live is one that everyone knows.
Yeah, fantastic song. I hope to see them live again one day.
So pretty.
Okay, we've probably got an obvious choice here.
Yeah, we already know where this one's going. Yay! I get to do the thing.
You can't have that early 2000s nu metal sound without thinking of Linkin Park. Yes, they moved away from that, but Hybrid Theory and Meteor alone.
Because every band changes their sound and progresses. They all change as people over time, but they were one of the original pioneers of nu metal as a genre.
Yeah.
Again, they're up there with KoRn. If we didn't have Linkin Park and KoRn, in general, nu metal wouldn't exist.
Yeah, it wouldn't have had its legs. Linkin Park pushed it to that next step. KoRn carried it through the 90s, make it big. Linkin Park just came in 2000 or 99, I believe Hybrid Theory came out, and just kind of set it to a new level.
It was 99.
I think it was. I think it was towards tail end of the year.
Yeah. I remember waking up as a kid, still in primary school, and turning on TV, turning on Rage, and I can distinctly remember Mike Shinoda's fluorescent red hair.
Yeah, One Step Closer video. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Look, Chester, God bless, one of a kind vocalist. Wish they could come back. I hope they do something. I know Chester's not around anymore, but I got to see Linkin Park twice in my lifetime. Both times absolutely fantastic. So they hold a special place in my heart, and I don't think anyone can be mad me putting them in S. And now on to another one. The reason we've done this video is Mudvayne. I never thought I was going to see Mudvayne live. After they disbanded, I think in 2010, 2011, and Chad went on to do Hell Yeah with Vinnie Paul, and Greg was in Hell Yeah for a while as well. Just never thought Mudvayne would come back. I always hoped, just didn't think it was going to happen. But now they're back. They're not only back, they're back in the full makeup from the LD50 album. Just kicking ass live shows. I've been watching videos. I am so happy. When you got songs like Dig, Not Falling, Determined, Happy, World So Cold, I'm going to be, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to be biased here. Maybe not everyone agrees, because Mudvayne pushed the realms of, are they new metal? Aren't they new metal? They definitely had enough new metal elements. I'm putting them as S.
Ooh, that's a big call. Yeah. Look, if you're mad about it, just put it in the comments.
Yes, leave a comment below, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. We're going to do more of these, maybe every week, maybe every second week, and I want you to suggest what we do next. Do we do best guitarist of all time? Best singers? Who has the best hair? I don't know, but click that subscribe button, comment below, and we'll bloody get to it. Moving along now, though, Mushroom Head. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I don't know a great deal of Mushroom Head. I know enough songs to think of where to place them, but
I can partly weigh in. I have seen Mushroom Head live. The reason I went to see them is because a local Sydney band that I was friends with opened for them. So I went to see my friends play. I don't remember much else of it. There may have been one or two bevies involved in that situation.
And look, I know there's a big rivalry on Mushroom Head, Slipknot, multiple band members wearing the masks. That's been a tale as old as time.
Whatever.
I don't think they're a bad bands. I don't know if I would chuck them up. I'm not educated enough. I'm going to sit them in C, because I just don't think they've had the career as some of these other bands. Like, people know who Mushroom Head are, but I feel it kind of gets shadowed by the fact that people know who Mushroom Head are. Of course, they get compared to Slipknot because of the masks. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, fire at me in the comments. That's what I want.
Please, abuse him.
But let's see. C's not bad. C's just kind of like, they're a good band. They're an okay band.
You're not mad if they come on during a shuffle mix, or if it gets recommended on Spotify in one of their random playlists, but you may not necessarily seek them out.
Exactly. What's next?
Wait, no. Let's make people mad.
Oh, come on.
No, God, no. Immediately, Crazy Town had one great song. Everyone should remember it from late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. It's a weird video clip. The whole song was just an absolute vibe, though. I dare you to put Butterfly on and to not, for some reason, maybe not remember what it was that you ate yesterday, but you will remember the lyrics.
Yeah, it's an interesting song in itself. The lyrics are very provocative. That's good English, Joe. Yeah. They're very sexual. I can say that word fine. But God, that's a weird music video. For some reason, they've all got spiky hair and they're shirtless. They're all trying to be the tough one in the group, and they all come across looking like the tough one in NSYNC. Like, it's strange. And them getting back together for that recent tour and on the first show.
Oh, what? They got back together?
Yeah, well, what happened is they got backstage because the show went so bad and all got in a fist fight with each other and got kicked off the tour. Yeah, so that was their reunion.
Wow.
All right, we'll move along. We're getting the Nonpoint. Now, another band that definitely early on felt new metal. I like Nonpoint. I've seen Nonpoint live twice. Yeah, twice. Met the guys as well. Lovely human beings. Bullet with a name on it kicks ass. Alive and Kicking's awesome. Their cover of In the Air Tonight is fantastic.
Ooh, yes.
But it just didn't break through. They didn't have that staying power. They're still around. They're still doing stuff. The music's still fun. But it just never hit that level of like, So for that reason, I don't think they're D. I think they're probably in the C tier. Not for them being a band themselves, but as them being a new metal act. They just didn't have the power of anyone else in the list so far. Like, even though their big song was big, it wasn't as big as Crazy Town's Butterfly. So,
fair. No, I'd agree with that.
And speaking of big, Papa Roach.
Oh.
I want your opinion on this first before I weigh in, because I have an opinion. So
Okay.
I'm going to let you drag it,
Ooh.
and then I want you to give a reason why you dragged it there.
Okay. They have some fantastic songs. They have had a bit of a revival
Yeah.
in the past few years, particularly when Jacoby did at least the partly translated English version of
Whoop Totem,
Whoop Totem with the
Who, the Mongolian
It
band.
was beautiful. It was fantastic to watch how excited he was to be there with the band as they're doing their thing and he's learning something new about another band and how they do their vocals. It was really enjoyable to watch. I feel they're more a nostalgia trap.
They are.
Well, not trap, but it's more you love Papa Roach for the nostalgia of it. It takes you back to being a weird, angsty teenager, and this was everything, and everyone wanted to dye their hair black and scream out, "Cut my life into pieces."
You know what? I'm going to change one thing, and we're going to change this a bit later. I think they're B+. I wasn't going to put them in A because, yes, their first album, Between Angels and Insects, I believe it was called, Blood Brothers, Cut My Life into Pieces, or Last Resort, sorry.
Yep.
Just all those songs, fantastic songs, very new metal, but they moved away from new metal really quick, almost into a pop punk rock type of feel, which they do now. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel they didn't stay in the new metal sphere long enough to go above B. But the impact they made just on the first 2 albums, I'd say, in new metal is lasting, and that's a solid stampede. If this was a nostalgia act tier list, then maybe we'll do that.
Ooh,
maybe
that's
we'll do
a good
that.
one, actually. Yeah.
They'd probably be up in S tier, but we'll do a nostalgia one. So hit subscribe, because that will come. I like that idea. But moving along, speaking of nostalgia, this is Limp Bizkit.
I am so excited for Limp Bizkit to be coming to good things in Australia.
Yes.
I have never had the opportunity to see them live. I know.
I have.
And I finally get to see Daddy Durst.
Limp Bizkit are one of those bands as well that they got hated on. They were like the Creed of new metal, the Nickelback of new metal, whatever. They got hated on for so long that people have kind of grown out of that. Some people haven't. They're like, oh, Limp Bizkit sucks. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But Rolling, Break Stuff, My Generation, Nookie, there's too many good songs for them not to be listed high. But in saying that, when they've come back with newer albums and that, it does lack the oomph. They didn't have that staying power. They really do rely on greatest hits tours, which is nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm happy for that. I get to hear all the songs that I like.
Exactly. So nothing wrong with that at all. So I think that's gonna. And actually, where would you move them to? Because I have my opinion. Ali, take the wheel.
I will remember. Really?
Yeah. I think they were too impactful on a generation not to be considered A.
Yeah, okay, fair. I will 100% take that. Like, I have the distinct memory of the very first time I ever heard them. I think I was 11 years old. And so I was in, my tiny country bumpkin town in Victoria. And yeah, I was in my friend's backyard and she had like a cousin over. It was weird. Small town, everyone did weird things together. Don't take that the wrong way. Don't. But I remember specifically that album and looking at the album cover and being like, what the hell is this?
And you know what? To settle a debate, no one else from this list was in Zoolander. So therefore, I think Limp Bizkit being an A.
Okay. We don't need to say anything else. They're in Zoolander.
Love them or hate them, they're an A. They did too much for the genre to be anything lower than that.
Accepted.
Now moving on to a band I always forget about.
Same.
Christian new metal band P.O.D.
See, I knew about them in high school because I went to a private Christian school.
Yeah, they will do it. Now, don't get me wrong, You for the Nation, and they had another really good song. I can't remember it at the moment.
Yeah,
I know how it goes in my head, but I'm not going to sing it because I don't want to be demonetized.
Just sing it badly. Out of tune.
No. But
Country tune.
P.O.D. You can sleep. P.O.D. They had 2 good songs, but I don't think they've done enough to really be anything else. I almost...
We've got to put him above.
Yeah, I kind of want to put him in D. Don't get me wrong; those two songs slap, but I just.
Yeah.
They could be C, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable having P.O.D. and Soulfly kind of on the same level. It feels weird.
You know what? Fair. Yeah. Why would you put the Christians on there?
Now, not that we care. You believe what you want to believe. Power Man 5000. Now, I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to say something else, which is going to contradict that. That first album, this album, Tonight the Stars Revolt, amazing album, amazing new metal album. When Worlds Collide is a fantastic song. Spider, I think, unfortunately got too obsessed with wanting to be Billy Idol. And all their stuff basically now is Billy Idol or a bit of a punky feel. They completely lost anything that made them sound like Power Man 5000. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Some of the songs are still good and they're catchy. But I think he wants to be Billy Idol too much. So I think, and if you could do the honors, he is going to join P.O.D and Crazy Town. This is not to say I dislike the band. I do. Yeah. But as a new metal act, I think if they continued on the track of the first album or they only released a few albums, yes, I'd bump them up. But because they've done so much other stuff, they just have to sit down in D.
Yep.
Like I said, not saying they're a bad band. Just for a new metal act, it just doesn't cut it.
I'll agree with you there.
Now a band everyone forgets about because unfortunately they've had their singing changes as well. Saliva. Click, click, boom. Always.
Anything else that's notable, or is that it?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were a wrestling fan, you know who Saliva are because WWE played the crap out of their songs all the time. That's ballsy. I was going to put them in C.
Really?
I think...
Are you doing that because it's the Batista feels?
They did Batista's theme song. I know that wasn't a new metal song.
You know what? I'll agree with that because Batista is a beast.
He's the animal. We'll move on from that. I don't think there's a lot to say about Saliva. They were kind of frontiers back in the day when this all came out. More on the rap metal thing like Limp Bizkit were. They have their place in history though. And, you know, I'm sure I go to BMX tracks. Every time BMX track, you're there. They play Click, Click, Boom.
Yep.
It still holds up.
It's still used in TV ads.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's where I first heard it.
Probably. But moving along, Sevendust. This is a band I've seen live as well, at Soundwave.
Soundwave was good for you.
It was very good for me. And Sevendust are a very good band. They're still a very good band, still putting out very good music. I was kind of surprised when I saw them here, because I never in my head really thought they were a new metal band, but going back and kind of listening to some songs, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see if Nonpoint's a new metal band, then I guess Sevendust was as well. But Sevendust is definitely the better version. They had some big hits, they're strong, still a good live act. I'm going to put them, and because of that, they definitely need to sit.
Really?
If Nonpoint are there and Saliva are there and El Nino, Sevendust were definitely a better act than all those.
Yep, okay.
So to me, it only makes sense, and this is why looking at Soulfly, I'm probably going to move that before the end of this video.
Fair enough.
But saying that, let's move along because I want to relook at this list before we're done. Slipknot. Slipknot get thrown in the new metal thing so often. I don't think they're new metal, but I'm not going to fight against it because they definitely have new metal elements.
Well, I suppose here's the thing then. Slipknot in general, immediate S tier.
Yeah. They did so much for music. Like, they're the biggest, heaviest band ever. Some people go, they're not heavy. Pull your finger out of your ass. They are heavy. You can't put on disaster pieces to someone who's never listened to metal before and they go, yeah, I can dance to that. Yeah. You can't.
I mean, you can.
Well, yeah, I guess you can do anything you want, but
exactly.
They are heavy.
Yeah, they are incredibly heavy. They're a fantastic act. They've had longevity.
They're still headlining festivals today, and a lot of these other bands are either not around anymore or they're not headlining festivals. I don't think KoRn headlines many festivals anymore.
No.
They closed on some of the smaller ones, but Slipknot headlined Wacken last year for the first time ever. Slipknot just brought Knotfest to Australia and sold out all 3 shows. 30,000 people each show. 90,000 people in Australia. They're a huge act. And I think just for that alone, even though I don't agree with them being new metal...
What I was going to say is that as an overall, Slipknot's definitely S tier. But this is about new metal. If you're going to do it as new metal, I'd move them down to A.
I'd have them above Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
But
I mean, I'd do them as an A+, because I would 100% agree they haven't been new metal really for a very long time.
And like I said,
They are still phenomenal.
I don't think they were ever new metal. I thought they were their own thing. They just had some new metal elements with the rapping parts that they did early on, and they still kind of throw together here and there, but Slipknot are their own beast entirely.
Yeah.
They're more of that American next wave of metal. It's kind of like the metal band that came through, and you're like, oh, I guess they're kind of new metal, but they're not, so we're going to throw them over here. So for this list purposely, A, S-tier band, probably somewhere else. But now we're talking about an S-tier new metal band. I think you can't really look past what Deftones did in the early days.
This is true.
Yeah.
And particularly because, again, they were in my favourite movie with the best soundtrack of all time.
Look, it's hard to argue. Look, White
It
Pony,
really is.
all, just everything. And Deftones have kind of come back.
They have, but in general, the Deftones' influence is undeniable.
Yeah, no, it's undeniable, and they're still performing in high bills today. I'd argue they've kind of overtaken KoRn to an extent when it comes to playing festival slots, which is bizarre.
Yeah, they have at the moment.
Yeah, no, they're doing fantastic. Look, they're good on them for it. They sounded good for the parts we did hear are good things.
Yep.
Their music, they still put out good tracks with every album. Maybe not every album start to finish is fantastic, but they've got good songs on every album that still comes out. So it'd be weird not to put them in S tier. But someone I'm not fucking putting in S tier is Stained. Don't get me wrong.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, look, I can't hear someone go, it's been a while without going, it's been a while.
Been a while.
That is nostalgic. Or, what's that? I'm on here.
Ah, yeah.
But as a whole, their catalogue is not great. He is a very, very right-wing individual who gets a little bit too crazy.
Why
with
can't
it.
we have an F tier just based for that alone? Whoops.
Look, you've lost mouth privileges. This is mine
Oh,
again.
wait.
Look, they do have some fun songs to listen to, but I just think on a whole, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it purely for the main purposes of the earworm that everyone has, that you say it's been a while and you immediately go,
It's been a while. So, you know what? I'm going to put him here just because of the meme.
"Bear, I'll accept this."
Because of the meme. Now, I don't know if I know Static X that well, do I? I love Static X. This is going to be completely biased. I put money together towards the Project Regeneration. If you've got the special edition of that album, look up Jai. I'm in the album's credits as a contributor. I love Static X, one of the best bands ever, and I love what they're doing with Zero as well, because rest his soul, Wayne. Zero has taken on that, and they're making it about... I know some people go, oh, he's dressed as Wayne's corpse up on stage. Kinda, but it's kind of... It's to encapsulate the memory. I love everything they're doing, but they never hit that tier to... I would love to put them in an S, but I have to be realistic. They're going in A for me.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll put them above Coal Chamber. Would you put them above? I'd put them above Disturbed.
I'd put them above Disturbed. I'd probably put Coal Chamber above Disturbed as well. Static X definitely did have more of an industrial metal influence in them as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not ignoring that, and a lot of people are going to remember them that way.
You did also forget that they were in the greatest movie soundtrack of all time, Queen of the Damned. Thank you.
I think most of the bands here...
I'm pretty certain a lot of these bands have actually been on it. I think that's why I know about half of these bands is because they were on Queen of the Damned soundtrack.
You know what? Before we move on to the next band, let's just go ahead and trap right here. Headstrong has some nostalgia, but
That's all I know from them.
bad band, singer's a worse person, Trap belong there, and they don't need anything else said about them. After that, they can stay there. What's your opinion? I actually think I know where I'd have to chuck System of a Down, but what's yours?
I'd probably put System of a Down as a B+. I think I broke it.
You've broken everyone listening to this.
Compared to some of the bands that are there.
I think Chop Suey is the most played new metal song of all time. Chop Suey is one of the most played metal songs of all time.
That
on
was
Spotify.
the first song I ever heard from System of a Down was Chop Suey. I was confused.
Don't get me wrong. System of a Down are one of those bands where you could go, they're not new metal, but they are. But they're like KoRn, they're like Linkin Park, they're like Deftones, where no one else sounds like them. But if you had to kind of put them in the box, which metalheads love putting bands in a box, System of a Down is an S tier band. Look, are they my favorite band? No, but I think Toxicity is one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Besides Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, they'd probably be the biggest seller on this list.
Yeah, fair.
I think they did a lot for the genre. They haven't tarnished it really by releasing any bad albums because they just kind of stopped.
That's true. They did kind of just stop making music.
Yeah, they put out a couple of singles a few years ago that weren't great, so maybe it's best they don't put out a new album. I think they have to go S tier. If we put them anywhere lower in S tier, I think people would come knocking out that door with pitchforks and torches. So we're going to avoid that.
Forgive me.
I personally, after I have a lot of nostalgia for Toxicity, playing video games with my brothers, and I would put them in an A myself, but I'm not blind to the fact of what they did for the world of metal, the world of hard music.
I will happily concede.
I think that's where it needs to be. So, look, guys, I'm pretty happy where everything is, and you know what? I'm not going to move Soulfly up, but I'm going to keep them at the top of the C list. I think everything else is great. I think maybe Static X is higher than a lot of people would put, but that's my opinion, and I can't break that opinion. But this was great. I cannot wait for the Mudvayne and Coal Chamber tour that's happening down here. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and suggest what you want to see next, because we'll be back. We'll try and get these out weekly. Do this for the people. Want your opinion, want your engagement, because here at Metal Roos, we're all about just kind of giving metal back to the community. So thank you once again. I've been jaimunji.
I'm Ali.
And you all have a bloody good one. Hit subscribe.
Goodbye, my friends.